What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another week here with Lou Finicaro and myself. My name is Chris Farley. You can follow me at FarleyBets on X, and you can follow Lou Finicaro at Gamblu on X, or check out more of his sports betting work at Gamblu.com. Lou, it is a big week. It's a big day here in the United States of America, but we're still here to talk NFL football. That's what we do here every single week with sportsbet.io, talking about some of these prime time games, and of course, the Hate Your Money segment of the week. Lou, on last week's show, I don't know what's going on with the luck that we have on this show. I know I got my teaser wrong. I had the Cowboys and Browns teased up. The Browns really shit the bed in that one. I guess you really can't trust Jameis Winston week to week, and we kind of already knew that, but I liked the energy in the building. I thought it was going to be a closer game, and the Chargers really stepped up. The Cowboys would have covered that teaser, but you had the Bucks and Chiefs under, I believe, 46 or 45 and a half in that game. The Bucks score a touchdown at the end and bring it to OT. So we will be sure to get some winners on this show. I know you're winning week to week, Lou. So am I. I had another good week, 2-1 of my top plays. How did you do overall in week 9?
It was I bet a lot. I mean, 7 games, that's a lot for me. 4-3. We win a little bit of money. I'm active with some teasers that are paying positive money. But I'm starting to get a little bit upset that I can't come through for the listeners of this show. 0-4 in 4 consecutive weeks. I mean, it would be hard to try and do that. I think maybe this week what I'll try and do is pick a loser for everybody, so that way it goes and it will win. I can't do that, of course. I do think that one of the games we'll talk about, I'm interested in putting a position in fact, already have, and that's what I'll share.
Yeah, I've got at least a few leans on today's show. Might talk about a bet that I like too. I know we're going to bring up a very ugly game for the Hate Your Money segment. It's kind of hate your money on both sides of that one. But without any more hesitation, let's get right to it, Lou. We start as usual with Thursday night football. And this is a doozy in the AFC North, especially for the Cincinnati Bengals and their playoff hopes, if they hope to keep that alive. The Bengals visit the Baltimore Ravens. Bengals off of a big win at home against the Raiders. Another high-scoring game in that one, but the Bengals survived and eked out another win. Baltimore looking awfully impressive again, responding off that loss and beating the hell out of Denver, really, 41-10 at home. So they get to stay at home and they're riding high. I'm looking at an intangible in this game, Lou, because this is almost the exact same spot as week 12 last season, I believe, or week 11 last season. The same situation. Joe Burrow was going down the field in the first half, was about to take the lead, and it looked like the Bengals were playing the better game and might win that game against Baltimore, but he got injured, right? That's when he got the wrist injury, sat out. That was the end of his season. Baltimore ends up winning that game, and that's sort of the end of Cincinnati's season, even though they fought. Now we're here. We're right back at it. The Bengals need to keep winning to get into the playoffs, but this is a weird spread for me too, Lou. So I got a lot of questions about it because for as elite as the Baltimore Ravens have been, they're only 6-point favorites at home on a short week against the Bengals. If the Bengals are really a middling team and incapable of hanging with these Ravens, you would think that would at least be a 7 or a more assertive position for the Ravens. I agree with this spread, and we're even seeing some downward movement in favor of Cincinnati. So what do you got in this one, Lou? I just want to mention real quickly, the total has shot up a good 4 points, up to 53. It opened at 49. So obviously a lot of points expected in this one as well.
Yeah, really the key factor here for me is division game, division hatred. You said the line seems reasonable on Baltimore. No, it don't. That's a lot of points. These two teams hate one another. There's familiarity there, and that seems like a lot of points to me. And especially when I look at Cincinnati's 5th-ranked passing offense getting T. Higgins back, going against the 23rd ranked pass defense for Baltimore. Baltimore's got pass defense problems, and Cincinnati's going to expose those. I like Cincinnati here. What I like the best is that this is Baltimore's 4th game in 17 days. And as good as they looked back then last week, that's okay. That's how flat they're going to be for this division game. And yeah, 48.5 in the look ahead, 52.5 now. This thing's going to be a track meet. And if you're laying 6, you're liable to get backdoored.
Yeah, I guess even more so what I mean is I'm a little surprised that big money bettors didn't move this line up in the Ravens a little more, but I guess that shows the hesitation, right? With a divisional game, with the desperation that the Bengals had, and probably because of that situational scenario for the Ravens entering this contest. Is this the kind of game, Lou? I don't know if you do, if you ever do anything like this, but is this a situation where you might want to take like Baltimore on the money line and then Cincinnati +6, or maybe look to tease Baltimore down to just win it, but still take Cincinnati +6 to kind of hedge both ways, expecting a close game? Like, is that something you ever do?
I'm extremely aggressive in attempting to try and set myself up with arbitrage or middling opportunities. This may not be, I tend to do it and try and aim it or set it up so that it sets me on a Sunday night game or maybe on a Monday. So I'll start early with one, a late game, and then try and play it into the Sunday night or a standalone game. In this case, I would say no because it's 6 on 7s and 7.5, yeah, then I'll play that tease game down to 1 or 1.5, and then maybe take the 7.5 because I'm covering so many key numbers. But with a 6, I'm hesitant to do that. But I definitely play those games.
Yeah, it's hard for me to not see Baltimore winning this game, which is why I ask. I mean, they have the much better run game. Overall, they have the better defense. But then, of course, they're not as desperate, right? They're not as desperate as the Bengals. So maybe the Bengals in a divisional game keep this one close. Would
Did
you?
Baltimore play a division game against Cleveland this year and get beat?
Oh,
Yep.
they sure did 2
Rest
weeks
my
ago.
case.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only side I could look at here spread wise is Cincinnati. That's where I'm going to lean. For now, I could see why people might want to take Baltimore, but this looks like, and I think the spread is telling us that maybe Cincinnati is the only side you might want to take in that one. Okay, let's move on to our Hate Your Money segment of the week, or maybe we should refer to this, Lou, as Hate Your Game segment of the week. Because this is an ugly one. This is real ugly. We got the New England Patriots traveling to Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears, and Caleb Williams has not been faring well lately. Over the last 2 weeks, he's in the bottom 5 of all quarterbacks in the NFL who have played, bottom 3 really, in EPA, yards per attempt, a lot of different statistics. Caleb Williams struggling there as the Chicago Bears quarterback against not very good pass defenses, by the way, just hasn't looked very good. New England, on the other hand, is at least covering. They've covered 2 in a row. They're looking a little better with Drake May. They have an okay defense. But at the same time, Lou, this is the spot typically to take Chicago, right? They've won all their games at home. Well, they won a game in London, too. They counted that as a home game, not a home game. But so technically they're 4-0 at home with the asterisk. And these are the spots where they typically recover. It's a great matchup for them, you would think, because they have a much better defense than the Patriots, and the Patriots are already struggling. I mean, even in a close game last week against the Titans, multiple turnovers. Drake May took 4 sacks. This seems to set up really well for the Chicago Bears, but for how poorly Caleb Williams is playing, can you take a -6 on the Chicago Bears team right now?
Boy, it'd be a difficult one to try and do. Now, a week ago they were 7. Now I'm looking at 6.5. A week ago the total was 39. Now it's 39.5. This is a game where of all the 4 platoons, one sticks out. Pats offense 31st, Pats defense 30th, Bears offense 27th, Bears off defense, 11th. So you've got the Bears D at home. They're licking their wounds. They're coming home, feeling like they should be a better football team than what paper shows. Now, I'm not going to go on a 20-minute dissertation on how screwed up the Bears are from an organizational standpoint, but I went to the 85 Bears Super Bowl. I sat with Bears ownership. I've been connected to the Bears for many, many years, and I know things about the Bears that everyone else knows. No more. And the McCaskies should not be owning a football team like the Johnsons in New York and the Joneses in Dallas. Now I'll stop and get back to the game. As far as this Bears game is concerned, When I look at the Bears, I see 52% of the bets are on the Bears right now, 81% of the money. So early guys betting are on the Bears right now. I tend to agree with that. I think that defense is going to smother what little Patriot offense there is. And why would there be Patriot optimism? That's because the new quarterback. But he's going to find out just what the Bears quarterbacks already found out, that they move pretty fast in the NFL. Now, more importantly, on the total in this game, 39 to 39 and a half, that's what's wrong. We got 40% chance of rain in Chicago on Lake Michigan on Sunday. You also have 14-mile-an-hour winds. This is the time of the year when wind is going to get involved up here in the northwest part of the United States, where Chris is housed and lives, up in that northeast side. And this is the time of year where wind becomes a big factor. Snow and cold, a little bit. Wind is what I'm looking for. We're going to get it in Chicago with wind and rain. Chicago, two teams that really want to play an 11-7 game anyway. I love the under in this. That'll be my release this week. I've already released it at 39 and a half. I'd say get it now because I bet by game time it's 37. So at least we'll do the thing, the correct thing, and try and get ahead of the number. And that's half the battle. The next half of the battle is to try and get this gorilla off my back so we can win one of these releases for everybody listening.
Yeah, for sure. We're finally getting some inclement weather being a part of these games, right? Like I've been kind of waiting for that. Even in towns like Cleveland, it's like been like sunny and 70 degrees. Like what's going on
Terrible.
here?
It's been terrible.
Yeah, at least we saw some rain in Green Bay this past weekend. Actually, we saw some rain last night in Kansas City too. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, especially with the way these two teams are not moving the ball right now and the weather that's involved too. This game to me feels very much like it could be that same scenario as week one with the Bears and Titans, where really the Titans probably could have won that game and should have covered that game, but the Bears still cover it because of how sloppy and just volatile of a game it is with all the turnovers. Even if Caleb Williams doesn't play that well, I think the Bears can easily cover this line just because they have a much better defense in these conditions at home. I am going to stick my neck out. So you have the under in this game. I'm taking Chicago -6, and I hate every second of that, Lou. But here we go. We're going to do it, and so we both have a position on this ugly, ugly game between the Bears and the Patriots. So hold your noses, folks. But we are betting on that game in two different ways heading into this weekend. Okay. Sunday Night Football, a pretty big game, it feels like, because the Detroit Lions just keep on winning. Fresh off another big win against Green Bay, where they shot ahead in that game and proved that they were the tougher team in those conditions. They are -3 on the road at Houston. Houston having a lot of problems on that offensive line, having a lot of critics over the past few weeks about all the pressure that CJ Stroud has been under. But now they're 3 to 3.5 point underdogs, actually seeing 3.5 at most sports books now at home. Total in this game is 49, as that's ticked up a little bit as well. I'm not sure if I agree with the upward movement on the total. I think this could become more of a defensive game between two proud defenses as well, but it is indoors, so no weather situation here to inhibit anything. What do you got on this one, Will? I'm sorry, not Will. Our producer is Will. Shout out to Will, our great producer back there. Lou, what do you got on this one? Houston hosting the Detroit Lions.
Well, we may want to ask Will because I know he hasn't gone 0-4 the last 4 weeks for crying out loud. Yeah, love this game. Love it. 2.5 was the look ahead, and it looks like the line now it has moved a tick up to 3 on Detroit action. Yeah, everybody can see that Houston's banged up on offense. They're missing receivers. Their running backs are a little bit dinged up. And that offensive line has really been the weak link of that whole team. And that's typical. You got a defensive coach who's got a great defensive team, and that offense in its second year, it hasn't really come together yet. A lot of it is because of lack of continuity. They haven't had the same starting 11 in there for a couple weeks in a row at all. So missing a lot of compartments. But as far as the situation here is concerned, this is a second road game in a row for Detroit. Went to Green Bay on the road last week and blew the doors off them. Now they come down to Houston, fat and sassy. Houston, meanwhile, had 4 games in a row on the road. This is their first home game back, after which, as well, they're on 10 days of rest. Now, I'm going to tell you to stand up and run to go bet Houston. Don't walk. This is Houston. This is a great spot for Houston. It's a flat spot for Detroit. And now that you're getting 3 with the home dog Houston, whether you want to take the 3, which would be my suggestion, or you want to tease it up, that's up to you. But 3 points in Houston at home in this spot is as strong a position as I could mention at this juncture in the week.
Yeah, and they're going to stay in some comfy spots too. They're at Dallas the next week after this, but that's in Texas, right? So they don't have to go very far, and it's on Monday Night Football. And then they go back home to face the Titans at home. So a nice setup for them to kind of recoup and get things going right. Whereas the Lions are coming off some seminal wins, 7-1 in the lead of their division. So I could totally see it here, especially with that hook, right, Lou? I mean, 3 is it is the most key number out of any number in the NFL. And you're getting over that with a hook with a home underdog who now is facing some criticism and off a loss. And to your point, right, off kind of that mini bye week, 10 days of rest off of Thursday Night Football, getting banged up there in New York. So, yeah, Houston is the only side that I can look in this one, too. Do you have any thoughts on the total, Lou? Because that feels a little too high for me. I mean, I know these two teams can put up points, but the way that the Lions are playing defense and just from what I expect from the Houston defense coming back after allowing the Jets to do a little too much in that game on Thursday night, 49.5 is a little too high for me. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, this total again at the Superbook was 48.5, ticked up to 49. Uh, I don't really have a strong opinion there because I'm really so uh, involved with looking at Houston. I would tend to think it's indoors. There's no weather. There's no excuses for each team. I would think you would see some points. But when I see a 49, I move. I love to attack totals when they say 41, 39. That's where I get better traction. But those high numbers I stay away from. But I do like Houston to try and get some momentum in front of their fans and treat the fans to a big win.
Yeah, so we're going to count that as 2 official plays for Lou on the show. We got the under in Patriots and Bears and Houston plus 3.5 now getting that hook. So 2 plays, Lou. I don't know. That feels good for me. if we go 0-2, we might have a hex on this show with that, but I don't think that's going to happen. Okay.
You know what? Eventually, it's going to come around. I mean,
Yeah.
those that want more from me can look at the Las Vegas Review Journal every Saturday. There's on Twitter. It's released. I put 5 picks out each week. Always the picks that I have here are on there, unless somebody gets hurt or something like that. But I'm going to swing it easy, and I'm giving you the best I got on these early week looks, and eventually we're going to turn it around.
Yes, it is. It is a Tuesday, right? So something to keep in mind. Although traditionally you want to make a lot of your best bets early in the week. A lot of things happen during the week too, so things can change. So keep an eye on these spreads and these totals as they move around. Okay, our last game that we cover is Monday Night Football, as always, and this is a kind of a perplexing one for me, Lou. We got the Miami Dolphins traveling to LA. Now they were just on the road at Buffalo, really tough spot for Miami. Now having to go all the way across the country to go to Los Angeles and face a Rams team that is breathing new life, right? They are back in the NFC West. They found a way to win that game. They're actually second in the NFC West. Surprisingly, Arizona is first, but the Rams look like their season was kind of slipping away at 2-4. They're 4-4 now, I believe, and they're back at home facing a very beatable team, right? From previous iterations of the Miami Dolphins, I thought this was going to be a much better team this year. The defense is very inconsistent, and obviously Tua's injury kind of set them back, and they're trying to rediscover some offense here, Lou. Totals at 50.5. It has ticked up a few notches, and the Rams are 2.5-point favorites. So a very short spread at this one in LA on Monday night. What do you got here, Lou?
Yeah, a week ago it was 3. So we've seen a little bit of reaction from the Rams win against Seattle last week, which was great. And the Rams are good. The NFC West, which was the NFL's worst, is now a very highly competitive division. All 4 teams competitive, even Arizona, which is amazing. So I look at this one, and again, here's another game where we have one platoon of the 4 that sticks way out. Which one is it? It's the Ram offense, ranked 12, going to lick its chops, getting an opportunity to go against that Miami defense that can't stop a sneeze, literally. And that's been their biggest issue, with or without Tua. that offense ranked 26th isn't a fair depiction of the offense because there hasn't been Tua. And yet the Ram defense, ranked 24, is dismal against the run and the pass. It's my belief that the Miami offense, now a third week Tua's back, I think they start to come together a little bit. When he was concussed, that team was really running on all cylinders. So I'm going to give Miami's offense more credit than the 26th ranked DVOA ranking that I'm looking at. And I'm going to speculate here because I see 27% of the bets are on Miami, 49% of the money this early. So there's wise guys looking at Miami here, and they're looking at taking that 3, which is what it was a week ago. Now it's ticked down to 2.5. I think the public will find that 2.5 inviting, and I'd like to think we get to 3 again, because at 3, I believe Miami is a buy. 27% of the bets on Miami, 49% of the money. Also, as far as the total, 55% of the bets are on the over. 80% of the money's on the over. So there's a lot of action going on this game, and they're going on the fact that they believe there's going to be points. And why wouldn't you when you got the 24th ranked and the 28th ranked defenses facing one another?
Yeah, I kind of like Miami here too, and I kind of want to tease them up just because it's ultra desperate. But at the same time, 2 wins all season, right? I mean, this team is just about out of any kind of race, any kind of playoff race that they could be a part of anyway. And the thing that really concerns me here, Lou, Miami's defense, 27th in points per play allowed, which just means that they allow a lot of explosive plays. And the Rams are much more explosive now with Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp in there playing. Now, Puka Nacua hopefully stays healthy. He's been kind of in and out of the lineup with a few injuries, but as long as he has his full complement of skill players around him, Matthew Stafford is a different quarterback, and we're seeing that from him too. He's a dangerous man back there with that rifle of an arm that he has still at this point. So that's kind of going to talk me out of the Dolphins. I think maybe a teaser leg makes sense because of this scenario, and just a lot of Rams games have been very close. They're not exactly blowing teams out when they win. But I don't know if I could take Miami at the plus 2.5. Lean to the over in that one too. I agree with you. Miami's offense is obviously better than what the full stats show this season. So just go ahead.
I was just going to mention one thing. I mean, you got 2 of the brightest offensive coaches facing one another, and just those 2 coaches alone almost makes me add a 0.5 point to the total just in itself. So it should be a great, entertaining game to watch.
And that's a good point, right? Mike McDaniel is used to playing out there too in his old days with San Francisco when he used to take on the Rams defense and had a lot of success, by the way. So,
yes.
This is probably a game where the Miami at least puts up a few points in this one. Okay, so just to wrap up, because we're going to start really keeping track of this, we got to get some W's out here. Lou has the Patriots and the Bears under 39.5. I got the Bears -6. And Lou is also telling you, don't walk, run to put in those wagers for Houston plus 3.5. This week. I love that call for that one. A lot of people criticizing Houston this week too. So you got to love that it goes against a lot of public perception. For that, I am Chris Farley. You can follow me at Farley Bets again on X. You can follow Lou Finicaro anytime at Gamblou. That's GAMBLOU on Twitter. Also check him out at gamblou.com. For Lou, for myself, for all of us here at sportsbet.io, have another great week of NFL betting and good luck with all your wagers.